So this is a big frequently asked question on my channel about finding your purpose. And usually what how it sort of, people come kind of in the back door. They're not really asking me about finding their purpose, but what they are asking me is how did you, Mary Jo, find your purpose? And because we can see that you did. We can see that you found what you're supposed to be doing here. I totally feel that way. And I hope you feel that way too if you're watching my channel. If you feel like I found my purpose, huzzah. So people ask me how I figured it out. And it was simple. It was a very simple thing that I did. And it really helped me navigate from a life where I was just living like one or two clicks off. And you're living a little bit off when you're just there's a little bit of fuzziness, a little bit of not sure I'm doing the right path or whatever, to being like, woo, in your groove. So on this video, I'm going to tell you how I did it, and I'm going to help you do it too. All right. So I think we throw around the term purpose. And I think I want to define it here for us. So we have we're working on the same path, right? We're working on the same definition of purpose. What is purpose? What is my purpose? How to find my purpose and all this stuff. What do we mean by purpose? Okay. This is how I'm defining it. And this is how I'm going to show you if this resonates for you, or if this is in alignment with how you define purpose also, then this is going to make sense for you. All right, because it made sense for me. I define purpose as feeling fulfilled. What I do has meaning, okay? It has meaning, not just for me, but for other people. I feel, there's excitement to me when I'm doing it. I'm always thinking about it in the grocery store, and it becomes a part of you. It's something that really is in alignment with your gifts, with the things you're here to express. And you can express these gifts in thousands and thousands of ways. But when you're doing this, your purpose, when you're doing your purpose, it's flow. It's easy. It doesn't mean it doesn't have challenges to it, but it's not like the feeling is, I'm excited to figure this out. It's not like, oh God, not this again. I do not want to deal with this struggle and setbacks and everything. When you're living your life on purpose or in your purpose, you are definitely feeling energized by it. It's bringing you energy. It's bringing other people energy. You are feeling, you're constantly getting information. Your basically your crown chakra or your connection to higher self is always open about it. It's flowing in. There's these beautiful, it's a good idea. That's a good idea. This is a good idea, right? It's just, you're constantly in flow. When you're not living life in your purpose, it's drudgery. It's a have to do. It's an obligation. It's a, dear God, I wish that I could just move away from this kind of thing, but I know I have to go because it gives me money. And there's something about it that maybe there is something about it that you feel obligated to do, that it's important. There's something there. That's how I knew I was kind of living just like one or two clicks off, because the energy for it wasn't there. I was getting drained. I was feeling drained, but there was something about it that kept me there, whether it was I was getting money for it, which is kind of like the most baseline thing. But, because we're really talking about feeling fulfilled is what we're talking about. Now, you can be fulfilled by something that's not really your purpose. It can be something that is a momentary purpose, something that, I see that this is really important. The situation, everything is in alignment with, this is really important. And then you do it and it's gone. Okay. What we're talking about here is something that stays over time. It's something that doesn't go away. It's something that just builds and grows. Being in alignment with your purpose, does it have to be a job? Nope, doesn't have to be a job. It would be great if it was a job, because we spend a lot of time at our jobs, right? It would be great if it was something you could build into a career, build into an experience where you're on this purposeful path and you're trading that energy for other energy, which is money and time from other people, or money, or ways of sustaining your life. It must be sustainable. Okay. So your purpose isn't something that makes you feel like you're falling off a cliff all the time in terms of the rest of your life, that it's interrupting other stuff. It's making it hard to have relationships, it's making it hard to live in a place you want to live in, everything like that. Everything seems to flow and is in alignment with it. Now, does it mean you can't have like challenges within it? No, those challenges are going to exist. Does it mean it's going to be, this is my biggest downfall when I first started trying to work on this for myself, is it going to be always easy? No. But when you're in flow and when you're living life on purpose, when you're living in your purpose, you feel fulfilled and you feel challenged and excited by the challenge. Does it mean it doesn't take effort? No, it takes effort. And like I said, one of my biggest challenges around living life on purpose is that when I started to go down the road of my purpose, there were things that I came up against things. Sometimes the universe is like, are you sure you want this? Right? And if you're excited and feeling fulfilled about it, then you're going to be like, yeah, totally, I want this. It's not going to feel like drudgery. It's not going to drain. A really good way to figure out if you're living life within your purpose is that you feel inspired. Okay? You feel inspired by it. Your life purpose is like a compass. Okay? It is like a set of railroad tracks that if you get off, like the road's kind of bumpy and things get kind of off kilter and stuff. But if you're on the railroad tracks, you feel like you just know the next steps. Okay? It's your compass. When you're off your purpose, even a click or two, and I mean by that like a degree or this way or that way, when you're a little bit off of that purpose, you can feel depressed and bored and uninspired and generally, just wanting an escape. All right, so here's how I figured it out. I'll tell you a little bit about my story and I'll tell you exactly what I did in order to come into alignment with my purpose, which led to the YouTube channel, which led to every bit of debt in my life going away, which led to savings and buying a house and releasing any kind of drudgery or negativity around my life. It really has removed so many of those things. So I was working some of you know that I used to work for NBC and ABC as a producer. Some of you know I had a video marketing company, which is again like one or two clicks off of my purpose. And in the video marketing company and in NBC and Good Morning America, I was always behind the scenes. That's number one. That's the first thing I understood was I needed to step out into the world and be seen. Now, how did I figure that out? I realized that in my astrology chart, in my 10th house, I'm a Leo. 10th house is the house of your career. So one of the things that first showed up for me, and I was, messing around with my astrology chart. I'm a constant lifelong learner about astrology. And so I was like, I want to look at my career in that 10th house, Leo. Be seen doing it. Whatever I was doing, I needed to be seen doing it. As a producer, not being seen by my colleagues, behind the scenes, being a producer, behind the scenes. In my video marketing agency, production company, I was helping clients be seen. I was teaching them to be seen. And whenever I was on camera, whenever I did anything for the company, for my little production company, I would make little videos and stuff. It would be fun for me. I would come alive. People would enjoy it. They're like, you should do more of that. Big clue. So really, I'm just talking about the sign that the 10th house is in. That's big. The sign that a house is in is the energy that you need to express in your career. So what sign is your 10th house in? Look at that. Read up about that sign. Mine is in Leo, and Leo is about being seen. So take a look at that. look and see what planets are in the 10th house. Do you have Saturn there? Do you have Jupiter there? Look and see about that. I have no planets in there. And that doesn't mean, I want you guys to understand, no planets in a house does not mean the house is not energized, okay? The house is energized with that Leo energy. That is the sign that the 10th house is in. So I want you to just, as a starter, look for that 10th house and what's the sign. So the second thing I did was started to understand my North Node, okay? This is a little bit more advanced, an astrology concept. It's something that isn't your sun, moon, rising, or Venus, although those can also inform this, like I'm just talking about with that 10th house energy. Your North Node is a node of the moon. It's basically a mathematical point, an ellipsis around the moon, and you have a North and a South Node. They are exactly 180 degrees across the hall from each other. They are always in retrograde, okay? So everybody is born with North Node and South Node in retrograde. Your North Node is your path on this planet. It's what you're here to embrace. It's the work you're here to do. And it sits in a house and it sits in a sign, okay? So your North Node, my North Node sits in the 8th house, the house of death and transformation and tarot. Ta-da, tarot. And the sign it's in is in Gemini, messenger. So when I understood that the North Node was what I was here to do, I was here to be a messenger of hidden knowledge. That's the 8th house. 8th house is the house of death and transformation and hidden knowledge. So my job is to be a messenger of stuff that's hidden. And when I combined that with my 10th house of Leo, I need to be seen communicating about stuff that's hidden. I'm a messenger of things that are not visible to most people. In order to work with this information, you're going to need to have an accurate birth chart. Okay, there's no getting around it. So a lot of people come to the channel and they ask me about, well, can I have an accurate birth chart without an accurate time of birth? Not really. Okay, so first of all, you know your date of birth and you know the location of birth. Your time of birth is going to be critical in this endeavor because this is about your moon, and your moon moves pretty damn fast. So in ways of getting an accurate birth time, here's a couple of tips from a former reporter. You can look at your actual birth certificate. Now, most city halls in the places where you were born, in the town where you're born or city you were born, have something called a short form birth certificate. You can send away to the town, a city, and get that information. Hospitals, on the other hand, usually keep a long form birth certificate, which will include the time. I did a number of North Node classes and other astrology classes where people didn't have that information. Makes it really tough because your ascendant changes every 2 hours. Your rising sign changes every 2 hours. Your moon moves pretty fast. So in order to really get this, to really understand this, you can either check with the hospital you were born in. You can ask an aunt and uncle. Mom and dad are not the best sources of information around this because they were a little busy when you were being born. So ask an aunt and uncle or your mom's best friend or something like that. Ask your mom, but sometimes they're like, yeah, I went into labor at dinner time, so it's evening. No, you weren't born for another 11 and a half hours. That would make it in the morning. So if you know approximately, if your aunt or uncle says to you, well, this was exactly what my cousin said to me the other day. My mom went into labor at noon mass when she was in church at noon. She stayed for the whole mass. She got to the hospital and immediately I was born. So she's probably right in saying like 1:30, 2 o'clock, 2:30. Okay, so that was a reasonable time period, and I did her whole chart for her. So you're going to need to have an accurate time of information. Next thing you're going to need is to go get yourself a birth chart. And if you don't know where to get a birth chart, there's some links below where you can go get a free birth chart with that information. And when you figure out what that North Node is, it looks like a little set of headphones, okay? In your birth chart, it looks like a little set of headphones on that zodiacal wheel. You never see a South Node placed on a zodiacal wheel. So just assume it's 180 degrees across the hall. All right, so once you find out what house and what sign it's in, That's when the work begins. First thing I want you to do is look at what house it's in, okay? The houses are very important. The houses are the parts of your life that are touched by this energy. So I want you to look at the definitions of each of the houses. For example, the 7th house is the house of relationships. The 4th house is the house of your mother and your roots, your ancestors. The 10th house is the house of your career. The 1st house is the house of you and your appearance and everything like that. I want you to understand your house. Wherever that north node is placed, that house is going to be of critical importance in figuring out how you're going to work with this energy. The second thing I want you to look at is the sign. That's the energy through which you're expressing this north node mission or calling. So Gemini is the expression of a messenger. Cancer is the expression of a nurturer, right? Aries is the expression of a bold, kind of explorer, right? Get to know the signs and the houses. Get to know these two things, because what you're going to want to do is you are going to work with this energy by finishing this sentence. My mission in this life, or my work in this life, is connected to blank, the house energy, and I'm here to express it through blank, the sign. So my mission or work in this life is connected to secrets, 8th house, and I'm here to express it as a messenger. First, you might find this a little clumsy, right? Because you're just plugging in keywords that you're understanding the meaning of the house and the meaning of the sign. At first, it can be a little bit clumsy. Your job here is to try to work with these energies, work with the house, work with the sign, and try to synthesize this information for yourself. So for example, if you have your north node in the 7th house, that means your south node is in the 1st house. They're always right across the hall from each other. So I know my job is to go toward relationships in some meaningful way. What you're going to find interesting is that a lot of the houses and signs have opposite energies. Let me demonstrate. You have that north node in the 7th house. And let's say it's in Aries. Okay, Aries is the sign of me, myself, and I. Manny and man. My job is to pay attention to me. But it's in the house of relationships. Isn't that about other people? Well, let me show you how this might work. Different than my own personal experience. This is somebody else's north node. So your north node is in the 7th house of relationships, and I know I'm supposed to be working on that in my life. So I may need a partner in my lifetime in order to complete my mission. All right? That's what that's telling me. There's something about learning about balancing relationships that I need to deal with in this life. Now, let me review my lifetime. Have I had trouble with relationships? Maybe. Do I feel like, I always just kind of disappear into relationships. I don't ever, stand up for myself. I have trouble communicating. I'm not really good at this. I'm really good at knowing how to fit in. Okay, if this is your north node, south node placement, this might be it. Your north node is in Aries, though. And isn't that about being like kind of, a pioneer, or being, focused on myself? How can I deal with relationships and be focused on myself at the same time? Well, when your north node is in the 7th house, it is the house of relationships. Your job is to be an individual, Aries, in relationship. So a lot of times people with this placement can find that they dissolve into relationships. They become a two-headed monster. They lose all of their boundaries. They're not able to stand up for themselves. They find that they might attract a lot of narcissistic partners who want to have power over them. They find that, whenever they do strike out on their own, they are not, they feel a little bit kind of like new to that energy. So they want to run back to be in relationship, because that's it's a comfort zone. It's like a fallback thing. It's something that I don't have to be the leader in. Well, in this life, with Aries in the 7th house as a north node placement, your job is to be the leader. Your job is to be a leader in relationship and be able to stand on your own 2 feet, even when you're married to somebody, even when you have a business partnership, right? Sometimes people can feel like their boundaries or their sense of self gets easily warped when they have other people around. You're fine, like standing in front of the mirror and pretending you're going to talk to that boss about a new a job or a promotion or getting a raise. You're great, but once you get in that room with that other person, a disaster. Okay, because your boss goes, well, really, I think what's best for us, relationship, is that you stay where you are. Not feeling fulfilled in that, are you? No, you're not. Because your job here is to be a leader, okay? If you're in that south node placement where you're diffused into partnership and it's not really about you striking out for yourself and being really powerful, then you're not going to feel fulfilled. You're going to need to be able to stand up for yourself in a crowded room. That's the placement of North Node in the seventh house in Aries. Okay, so how I want you now to think about things is, if my North Node is in the 10th house, is that the only house that has to do with career? No. Every single house can be some part of your career. Every single house, even if your North Node is in the 10th house, it doesn't mean it's necessarily about your career. What you're looking for is energy. What you're looking for here is, my mission on this planet is this, and this, doing this, going toward this, and embracing this is going to make me feel fulfilled and have meaning in my life. We get very, very bogged down in the idea that it's a job, a job, as opposed to a mission in this life. Sometimes people's mission can be having children. That is a job, don't get me wrong, but it may not be the job in the way somebody else thinks of a job, all right? Sometimes people can have North Node in their 12th house. That can be the house of self-undoing, can be the house of escapism, can be the house of being alone. Okay, this 12th house, 6th house placement is also something that people struggle with. Like my 6th house is the house of day job, 9 to 5. So does that mean I have to go away from my day job in order to embrace my North Node? No, it doesn't. What it does mean, though, is you need to embrace your spiritual connection to the other world, right? And do it in such a way that you're not escaping from your day-to-day. Remember what I said about these things need to be balanced. Your North Node and South Node. You don't just throw away that 6th house stuff. In your past life, you were really good at having a day job, a 9 to 5, and now you're going towards something that is more ethereal, that has less of a structure to it, and that can feel really scary and spooky. You're likely to be someone who is a very talented shaman, and because you know how to make a day job out of your skill set, your new day job, should you choose to accept it, is to be someone who is less structured, less 9 to 5. But can you create a career around that? You certainly can. You can be a shaman, you could be a mystic, you could be a poet, someone who's very connected to mythology, someone who is very connected to being a spiritual leader. The 12th house is also the house of hospitals. It's the house of monasteries. It's the house of jails. It is about being alone. The 12th house is not about a group activity. Okay? Shamanistic practice is a very solitary kind of thing. Being a mystic, speaking to the dead, right? That's all housed in that 12th house. So you're basically, I call it the house of poltergeist. You know, when in Poltergeist, when she went through the closet to get the child, they had to tie a rope around her to keep her coming, to bring her back to this world. You kind of have to do that if your North Node is in that house. You kind of have to keep your feet on the 6th house planet, 9 to 5 kind of experience, something very routine, day to day. So you see that when you figure out the North Node, it's not just about going toward that North Node and abandoning what you already have, what you already know how to do, what you bring to this life. It is about learning a new language. It is about learning a new way of being in this world. It is about expanding your current skill set and your capabilities. But you always have this past life, this south node, this comfort zone. Where we get into trouble is, number one, people go toward the north node and they blow off their south node. And what happens then is they're not grounded in anything. They don't have anything to, there's no comfort in their life because they're totally in this new place and they've abandoned their skill set. I didn't abandon my ability to dig deep. I didn't abandon my ability to speak and have communication, Gemini. I did not abandon those things. I didn't abandon how I was raised. I didn't abandon any of those things. I simply expanded on it. I simply brought in something new. People also get into trouble with this when they see that north node out there and they go, oh my God, that's really scary. I'm going to hold on to this south node for dear life. You know what happens to people like that? They have bad midlife crisis. Their whole career gets blown up. They get divorced and they get, thrown out of a job or fired. I'm not saying this to scare you, but this is, your purpose on this life is not about holding on to some kind of comfort zone. It's really not. That's why I let go of my past business as a video marketing person, having a little production company. Those things are perfectly viable. Those things are perfectly, situations that could create, jobs and financial stability and all that stuff, but it didn't do it for me. It kept falling out. This is how you know that you're holding onto your south node, is things keep collapsing on you. Okay, even though it seems pretty obvious that you could, what would happen to me, and I'll share this with you, is that I kept getting jobs in PR. Now you think a former producer for Good Morning America would be pretty damn good at that, right? I was, but I hated it. It wasn't fulfilling to me. My north node was going to be fulfilling to me. Okay, so what happened was I kept losing interest in it, and I kept just quitting, or one time I got fired and things like that. I kept having these kind of tower moments happen where my logic was saying, well, these are skill sets I have. Why can't it work? Because you know what? The universe was pushing me toward that eighth house. The eighth house of transformation. And that's how I learned to embrace that and be like, okay, my second house, I have all these things. Eighth house and second house are across from each other. I have all these things. I can bring these things to the table, but I really have to stretch myself and expand into that eighth house and learn a new language, learn how to be a messenger of transformation in a different way. And that's how I learned to use this north node as part of my growth in this life. It brings me fulfillment. The financial aspect has expanded. I feel energized by it. I feel inspired by it. It has meaning for other people. It supports all of those. Every single box is checked. So for you, if you're looking to do something like this and figure out your life's path, I definitely invite you to take one of my classes on North Node. And if you don't do that, then you definitely need to take a look at your house and your sign that the North Node is in and work with that information and really try and understand it, meditate on it, ask questions of your spirit guides. What is this? What is this trying to teach me? What am I here to do? You have clues all along your life path. You do. You have clues to that North Node mission. All you have to do is uncover them. All right? So much love to you. If you like the content that I create here on this channel, if you like my YouTube channel, this is the birth child of me and my North Node. If you like the content I create here, please like, subscribe, and share. Help a sister out. So thank you very much. And if you do have questions or you want to take a class, there's links below, and I would love to help you understand your North Node placement and what you're here to do. So much love. Thanks for being here.